Today is a really big day on the tiny barn conversion. All of the pipe work is in. I've got the land drain, which is around the perimeter of the inside. And then I've got my soil pipe in that corner and the soil pipe there for the kitchenette. And next to that is the blue pipe as well for the water inlet. So up until now, there's been a world of digging, and all I've done is gone down and get rid of material. So the reason today is so special is because I'm going to start bringing the hardcore or the MOT in to create that new base layer. And it's going to be goodbye to the mud, which is absolutely staggering. I'm so excited about it. It's going to be hard work, but I'm really glad to get started on it. In terms of the levels, what I've done is I've decided upon a level here which allows 150 mils of MOT throughout the whole of the barn. And then all I've done is put these posts in that I've just cut from some roofing timbers, and I've gone round and just marked on each one of the posts. There's a little red mark. I could leave the laser on, but as another point of reference, I've got these marks. I've also on the wall marked this bottom red mark here is where the laser is, and then so the MOT is going to come up to there, and then the concrete is going to come up to there. So there's another 150 mils of concrete on top, and I've done that all the way around. And these posts will hopefully give me some indication when I start wheelbarrowing the MOT in as to the level that I require for the MOT. So there's only one thing for it. I'm going to start wheelbarrowing from the drive of the front, start bringing it up. Let's go.
These clips of me wheelbarrowing were only possible using the voice-activated time-lapse feature on the GoPro. Going hands-free when doing jobs like this is so convenient. It does, however, appear that the bags are right outside the door, not down at the bottom of the drive.
Bag number 1. That's bag number 2. That is bag number 3.
So the observant of you out there will notice a change in colour of the hardcore. Basically, there were 2 types, a local slate waste and a less local granite. They both do the same job. It was just what my builders merchants had in at the time.
That's bag number 4. That is a day of shoveling hardcore, and I'm getting there. I've done 5 big bags. It's obviously short in some places. You see on the wall there, I'm going for that bottom red line. More coming tomorrow, and obviously it all needs to be compacted as well, so it's probably another 2 more bags I reckon, but we'll see tomorrow. So I've got about 5 bags worth of hardcore down. I'm just going to run over the whacker plate that I've hired from a local hire shop over for the first time, see what level I'm at, and then add more where necessary.
It was clear after the first pass with the whacker that I was going to need more hardcore, so I had some more delivered. I should have guessed really. Weights and measures, I am not.
That's bag number 7.
It was time for another whacker. This thing gave off plenty of fumes, so the ventilation was much needed. If you haven't used one before, it's a little bit like being dragged round by a very loud, metal, smelly and extremely independent dog with a bad temper. Going for a second pass with the whacker was largely due to needing more hardcore than planned, but I later learned that it's good practice to do it in a couple of layers to ensure the MOT is compacted at its full depth.
So I've finished putting down the MOT Type 1 hardcore. I've compacted it 4 times now. I've actually gone through now 7 bags of MOT. I've leveled it out using spirit level and a piece of wood, and it's all relatively level. I'm now going to put down a blinding layer of sand, so it's soft sand, and the idea being is that I can use that to really level off and get the levels absolutely bang on, but also it protects the damp-proof membrane that I'm then going to place on top. I'm going to compact that down again using the compactor, and then we're good for the membrane, and then we're good for concrete. Okay, so all the sand is down now. It's relatively level, but I'm going to go around with my spirit level and just make sure everything's absolutely 100% level for the final compact and then the membrane.
This was as satisfying as it looked, a little bit like creating the perfect floor in a large sandcastle.
Today is a huge day on the tiny barn conversion. So I've got the blinding layer of sand down. Underneath there I've got my hardcore, which has been compacted. It's all been compacted down. It's all nice and level. The next thing I need to do is lay down the membrane. I'm also going to make a little barrier at the front there just to stop the concrete from overflowing outside of the barn. And then I'm going to be back to where I was before, so except I'm going to have a membrane in and it's all going to be nice and super solid. So the concrete's turning up this afternoon around lunchtime, so I've got a lot to do before then. So I'm going to crack on putting the membrane in, put the barrier up, and concrete is coming. So I've just been building my little barrier here to stop the concrete from spilling out. I've actually got a level here that's absolutely bang on level. I'll put some bricks behind it just to reinforce it, and then that will give me a perfect level in which to screed for this final level, which is really important for the doors. So I'm ready to lay my visqueen or damp-proof membrane. So it's 4 meters wide by 12 meters. So I'm going to have to do 2 strips, join them in the middle, lay it all out flat. I'm going to go up 1 meter up the wall each side. So just as a belt and braces method, I've re-tanked all the way around the edge, just in case. I've put 2 layers of tanking slurry on. If you remember in a previous video, I put that on and then I obviously had to rip up the whole slab, so it was rendered useless. But hopefully this belt and braces method means that we won't get any water coming in this side.
Unfolding and laying out the membrane felt a lot more difficult than it should have been. Due to the thickness, it didn't want to bend where I wanted it to. Wrapping presents has never been my strong point, so folding the corners was really tricky too. Cutting the membrane was also a challenge, despite using medical grade shears designed to cut through motorcycle leathers.
So I'm just applying the double-sided tape to the membrane. Pretty difficult because of all the folds. Make it look very easy on the videos. This stuff is really quite horrible.
This was as painful as it looks.
I was just going to say, don't stick it to yourself. Oh, sorry.
So this is the double-sided jointing tape. Really, really super sticky. Top tip, don't fold it over on itself. So I've just been fighting with the double-sided tape. Nothing like the video that I watched online for visqueen. This stuff is really horrible to use. If you get it stuck onto itself, that's it. You can't use that bit. Also, if there's any ridges like here, they're really difficult to overcome. All in all, a real mission with the double-sided tape. But now I've got my overlap, so now I'm just going to run some single-sided jointing tape over that as a double measure. So just behind here is the toilet pipe. I've cut it down a little bit shorter, but now I've got to get the visqueen, cut a hole in the visqueen to get around this pipe, and then I'm going to tape it around and seal it. So I sort of gauged where the pipe is, where the pipe starts. I want to make as small a hole as possible, because obviously as soon as I cut into this membrane, it's going to compromise the membrane itself. So I've got down to the bottom there, and I'm estimating that the centre of pipe is going to be just where my finger is, where I'm going to make a mark with a knife. Then I'm going to cut 4 or 5 cuts to the centre of that. Now I'm hoping I'm then going to be able to slap that over the top, and I'll make some little adjustments with a knife as I go. Folding those flaps up, going to wrap some tape around that, make it as watertight as possible. Today on the tiny barn conversion, I am either going to be disposing of a body here or the concrete's arriving. So just have a quick look at the visqueen or the membrane that I've put down. So doing the corners was really quite challenging. It's quite a tough material to manipulate, but doing lots of folds in the corners seemed to be the way to go. I've pinned it up, just these couple of blocks, raw plugs and screws, and yeah, it goes all the way around. I'm actually going to be keeping this height, so it's about a metre above the floor. Got my pipe down here. On a separate video, I showed actually cutting the hole and taping that in. So that's the toilet pipe, and then over here we've got the pipe for the sink in the kitchenette. A couple of tools, a few that I just had anyway, a few that I've had to knock up. So I've got my long spirit level, I've got my rake, and then I've got this, which is going to be my measuring post. So I've got the laser over here, and 150 mils of concrete comes up to where that line is. So the idea is that when the concrete is burrowed in, I'll then measure to see how high it is at different points using this paddle at the ground. Hopefully that'll give me a good idea. Then I'll finish it off with a trowel, which is here. So I've got this trowel from Toolstation. Give it a bit of a smooth, then move on to the next section, and I'm hoping that's going to give a nice finish. The other bit of kit I've made is this for the tamping. So I've got quite a heavy piece of wood at the bottom, quite thick, and then a simple crossbar on the top. The plan being is just to do this along the concrete. Never done this before, so it might not work, but we'll see. So I decided with the concrete to go for a volumetric, that's volumetric concrete, guys. It means that they're going to be mixing on site. I've given them a rough estimate of how much concrete I'm going to need, 2.8 cubic meters. And then they're going to turn up outside here. They come in with 2 wheelbarrows, 2 guys, and they're going to wheel the concrete up as they mix it on the road. The advantage of this is there's going to be hopefully less wastage. It's slightly cheaper, which is always great. And it means that obviously that they're going to assist with bringing the concrete up the driveway into the barn itself. I did look into getting a pump. The pump itself cost around the same as the concrete, so that doubled the price. So instead of having something that's going to cost £1,200, £1,200, this is costing £485 plus VAT. All being well, it should be in within an hour or so. I'm excited. So clearly I need to measure the depth of the concrete at all points whilst we're putting the concrete in. So all I've done is made this little paddle thing out of a couple of scrap bits of wood. And the idea being is that I can just place it on top of the concrete at any point, and then these couple of blocks here are 150 mils. So at this point here, it needs to be ever so slightly higher than that, but I can put this at any point in the room now once the concrete goes in, and just see whether or not that laser here lines up with that line, and that will give me hopefully a nice surface that I can then tamp and trowel over to make it a nice job.
The concrete company actually sent 3 guys to unload. They were incredible, and I was shocked at how quickly it came in, almost too fast for me to deal with. One of the chaps helped me distribute the concrete, whilst the other 2 simply barrowed. The tools I'd made were perfect, allowing us to quickly see exactly where needed more or less concrete. We did a section at a time before doing one last final pass with the tamper. I was told that it's best not to play around too much with the concrete once it's down, because too much walking through it brings the chemicals to the surface, which is not good for the slab. I did one last pass with the tamper, my levelling stick and trowel before strategically backing out of the door to let it set.
The concrete is down. What an amazing experience that was. 3 guys from a company over in Colwyn Bay, and I could not believe the speed at which they worked, just barrowing up. The one fellow actually just helped me doing the actual levelling itself, which was really, really useful. He's obviously done it a lot more than I have, but could not believe how quickly. Absolutely amazing, and I'm thrilled to bits. The concrete is down.
If you've enjoyed this video, please like it and make sure you subscribe to the channel to get notified when the next video goes live. Thanks for watching.